morning, Papua New Guinea, and welcome to this, the first episode of Hohola Sports Scene for the year 2015. And I can tell it's going to be a very exciting year for everyone.
Yes, you know, the Pacific Games is just a couple of months away, and I know athletes are all psyched up, everyone's all psyched up, and just, yeah, looking forward for the games.
Well, Rafaela, it's great to see you back here in the country. You hadn't gone off for the new year, which is pretty good. Now, over the past couple of weeks, there has been talk throughout the media on how preparations for the Pacific Games have been going. We think it's positive. It's looking very, very good, some of the venues. And here's Godwin Eki, the roving reporter. He went around the city of Port Moresby, finding out what people really think about the 2015 Pacific Games.
Okay, minus all town city. Okay, first time blow me miss all place na me arem was a South Pacific game by Kamablo, Port Moresby. Also na me travel lombung in money go. Also me like Sawel lo Moresby too. Out Papua New Guinea play game one all not country. Also me like Savena. Me got big play interest too. Because only game number me man plus sport man so lot is like kind game in Minnesota. Also na me like Save true na. Mila looking, okay, me and me finding balance ticket, me come, me ready, belong come back, out me like silly belong and me ready. Okay, now me no got one talk, must be, so out me and me finding out silly, kira, some time all one talk give him. Me stop, we go, now me stop 6 weeks now. Okay, until South Pacific game come up, me looking like blow me straight, buy me gate, go inside. Me sit down, finish, buy ballistic and go back to place. Me got big interest to the South Pacific game.
It's a very fast start.
With only 6 months remaining to the Pacific Games, local residents in the nation's capital have raised concerns on their appreciations on how they are preparing for the Games. Port Moresby's arts and crafts sellers are already in preparations for the Pacific Games in July this year. Speaking to some of the arts and crafts sellers today, they said events such as the Pacific Games will be good for their business. They said for PNG to host this tremendous event is vital for the country and one good way to unite the people of the Pacific together.
Plenty of man America must inside the country or some making me play he looks savilo when or something me play saling and me play ready na. She
said she is looking forward to the Games and already have more items to sell to the Pacific neighbours. Leonie's husband, Simon Heta, also said that for Pacific Games to take place in PNG is far more significant as many will benefit from the sporting event, especially the local sellers.
Festival of Arts. Me looking plenty of countries organican na boom na me plapin showcase in Malta or something na me looking plenty sales me plapin walking. Na do now this Pacific Games to by come.
Meanwhile, not long to go till the Pacific Games, Hatter said security will be the only problem to solve as our Pacific athletes, spectators and those who will be here for the love of sport are well taken care of.
Godwin Eki caught up with Toya Whistle while she was here in the country, and this is what she had to say.
PNG sprint queen Toya Whistle arrived in Port Moresby on the 8th of October after her dad passed away. While in PNG, Toya had problems with her visa and couldn't go back to Australia. Being in the country, Toya attended several BSP events and launches as the brand ambassador of Bank South Pacific. Toya was in the country for at least 2 months due to her Australian visa expiring.
But she came up to Goroka. So it gave me a chance because she's been stuck up here without a visa for a couple of months now and I hadn't seen her, so it gave me a chance to see that she's a little bit unfit. But yeah, hopefully we can get that visa sorted and get her back to Australia fairly quickly.
She attended the PNG Games as the BSP PNG Games ambassador and was among hundreds of raw and upcoming talents in the country. Toya's time off the track was a concern for her coach Sharon Hannon, who was adamant and was working hard to get Toya back on the tracks as soon as possible.
She's a second and a half ahead of all the other girls that were certainly in PNG Games. I think the fastest 100 time wasn't in the final, it was in the semi and that was 13:02. Toya's run 11:4, so significantly faster. But and in the Pacific, she's ranked very, very highly. Like there's no one. She's got about 20 times just this year ahead of anyone else in the Pacific.
After a successful confirmation and granting of the visa, the Sprint Queen left yesterday for Gold Coast, Australia, back to her training in preparations for the 2015 Pacific Games.
Well, Rafaela, you also traveled down to the Gold Coast with Toya.
Yes, I was with Toya for the New Year's, and we were at the Gold Coast. It was also her birthday, so she's a New Year baby. And anyway, I was with her. She actually has an injury, a hamstring injury, and she's been not really training that hard because of her hamstring. She doesn't want to strain it. She's also been seeing physiotherapists back in Gold Coast, doing pool sessions, and been checked up by her physios always. Her coach Sharon Hannon is very concerned that she has to build her and get her feet again back. She won't be competing in the Telstra A Series, the Queensland Championships, but will probably be taking part in the Australian Championships. Yeah.
Well, Toya, belated happy birthday, and we wish you all the best as you recover. Now, coming up after the break, we will be taking a look at the In-City Governors Cup.
Welcome back to the show. Now, Terry Alex was over at the Hohola Park to cover the Governors Cup finals.
From the 12 teams that battled in the Governors Cup semi-finals last week, 6 teams went head-to-head for the Cup, Bowl and Plate finals. Due to a late start to the semi-finals, all respective finals have been postponed to the 4th of January. Freeway bumpers after a close encounter in the semi-finals against 9 Mile Giants secured the final spot in the Cup Grand Final. In the second semi-final match, Hohola Knights proved too strong for Star Brothers to also secure their spot in the Cup Final. Boroko Survivors beat Marine Stoneville 10-8 in Bowl playoff, while City Redbacks thrashed Elimbari Dwellers 13-0 and walked away with the plate. The Freeway Bumpers retained their title by beating Hohola Knights 6-4 in the Cup playoff yesterday afternoon. The EP Park at Hohola was filled to capacity with rowdy supporters. The Knights in Black fielded a young side from the Bandspeak community. They were hoping to take the title with their strong defense. Bumpers, as usual, proved to be the side to beat. With the reigning tag, they went on to open the scoreboard to lead 6-0. Knights struggled through right till half-time and were awful with a late try close to full-time, but a failed conversion ensured that the Bumpers were again the champions of the competition.
Now, another form of rugby, and this time it was the 13's touch that was over at the Gordon's Police Barracks, and I went over there and caught up with Wallo Kere, who has spent the past couple of years reviving the code.
The Broncos had been on the back foot earlier before nifty play through the centre had their opponents defending stoutly. The Sea Eagles, however, did prove themselves difficult to handle. Concepts of 13's touch mimic rugby league. With one exception, there are no tackles. Organizer Wallo Kere, a long-time rugby advocate, believes, like others in the community, that sport can be used as a platform to alleviate the problems that the youth encounter constantly.
I think the aim of the competition is to bring all the youths together within barracks and the residential areas to work together and build up the kids, their characters, and make them feel responsible in their own community.
The Gordon Touch Rugby competition has also had some prestigious names running through its ranks, as Kerry explains.
Michael Marum was one of our oldies here. He used to play with Masalai Warriors, that's his team. His team is playing this afternoon also. We also had Aquila Emil, who used to play with Bala Raiders, the late Aquila Emil. Tuxi Karu and Stanley Haru were with Sandpiper Sharks.
Kerry also believes that the current generation of players could soon fit that mantle.
After the break, Hekari prepares themselves for the OFC Champions League.
PNG champions and former OFC champions Hekari FC United have said they are prepared for this year's rendition of the OFC Champions League.
The Hekari United Football Club will once again represent the country in the Oceania Football Confederation Championships in Fiji.
It's a lot of challenges. We have a lot of good NSL teams coming in this season, and with the OFC tournament ahead of us, we need to play friendly game to see our players coming in. But I would say we have a lot of good bunch of Papua New Guinean players in our team this season.
The club welcomes back midfielder Alik Maimai from Solomon Islands. Young midfielder Emmanuel Simon from Lae will also join the club, including upcoming striker Tommy Same from Lae, Emmanuel Irim and Emson Upaiga from Mount Hagen all made it into the final 25-man squad. Bonnie says the club has already started their training.
I train at PNG IPA, and I want to say thank you to the department for giving us that oval again, because we are representing the country. We didn't have any oval to train. We've been training everywhere in the past 2 months, but having the oval last week was a great plus to us.
She also pointed out on reason why recruiting international players into the club.
For us to play against Auckland City, Team Wellington, if you look at their team, I think 18 or 19 of them most came from Spain, came from other foreign countries. They need to play a good game and need to win. And if you look at Auckland City today, they have won. They went to the semi-final, that's the only team in the Oceania have done it to the highest. The reason is they drop 8 and they pick another 8 international players, give them a lot of plus.
Von is now banking on her young players, including the old-timers, for a successful 2015 season.
Now, a member of that Hekari side is also their striker and also PNG striker, and that is Kema Jack. Now, a couple of months back, I traveled all the way to Kaparaka village and caught up with him. Here's the interview.
From his demeanor, Kema appears relaxed and comfortable, sitting outside the front of his house. Growing up in a rural setting hasn't been easy, and having represented both club and country internationally only makes him more fascinating.
I was the only central in all the Highlands players. So when crowd gather around and watch the game, like they were saying that if you want to watch rugby, come to Bisini, because there's a team called South Sea, because they were all muscle people, and like I have lots of experience through coaches, like Brazilian type of playing, Scotland type of playing, New Zealand type of playing, Fiji type of playing, So when you put everything together, it's like simple to you.
A highlight of his career has been traveling to Dubai, as Hekari became the first Pacific club outside of Australia and New Zealand to play in the Club World Cup.
There were only 3 Papua New Guineans, like the team was Hekari, but there were only 3 Papua New Guinean players playing for Hekari at that time. That was David Muta, Korea Kupaiga, and myself. All those players were all international players. But that was good. We had a good run.
His mentors, John and Vonnie Capinato, have been among the greatest inspirations of his life, and he gives a lot of credit to them for his career.
They always encourage me that discipline is the key to everything, in sports, in your life, everything. So when I followed those footsteps, that's where I became somebody else.
Scoring goals has become a norm for him, bagging the Golden Boot Award on more than one occasion.
That's 3 consecutive. NSL, that's 2006 and 7, 8 and 9, 10 and 11.
Wearing the colors of the country has also been a privilege for this man from the village.
Last 4 years ago, I was the vice captain for PNG squad. I was the vice captain. David Muta was the captain. I was the vice captain. So I don't think it's going to be hard for me to, but the only thing is it's our home game. I mean, home ground. All the crowd will be at the back of us. and we are holding the flag of Papua New Guinea.
The year of the Pacific Games could be his last, his focus shifting toward developing more of his own people to reach the heights that he has.
Yeah.
Some of them do have very hard names to
pronounce,
like Tuti.
Tuti Zama and Peter Bolatonga. Yeah. Osea Vakatalesao.
Like, yes, I'm trying to ask Bonnie if, when she brings in new players, if you can just call all of them John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the NSL games will be starting next week, and we also caught up with Gary Moka, who is the captain for the RFC.
After an injury just before the weekend's match, I dislocated my ankle, so yeah, set out the first match. But it was really good. It was a good concept brought in by John Capinato. So had a lot of positive pathways for that, especially for the boys taking part.
New recruits will also boost the team.
We actually got the services of, from a couple of players from Eastern Stars, goalkeeper Paul Peter and the striker Patrick Isa. It's pretty good. He's got a lot of pace. It's very tricky, and but it's really good that the boys feel comfortable as a team. And
a decade at the top level of PNG soccer hasn't dampened his enthusiasm either. Do you feel there's a difference in the style of play that you had from 10 years ago to today?
Yes, I believe so. It really depends on what sort of coaches you have within those years. Different coaches have different styles of football, whereas currently with RFC, we've got Joe Turria, and he's got his own way of playing, his own formations of how to do things. So it's been great so far.
Representing the country has been a highlight of his career.
First experiences for the Pacific Games would be 2011. I was based in Melbourne, and yeah, it's where I got was there for a year and a half playing with a local club, and yeah, it's where I got a call up for the first SP Games team, so yeah, it's pretty good.
While the January 17th opening of the NSL season still faces uncertainty, with playing grounds yet to be confirmed, Moka believes that his final year could be a good one.
Coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look at cricket.
It was the final match of the 2014 season, played on the first Saturday in the new year. Hundreds travelled from Port Moresby, including current PNG Barramandis captain Chris Amini and PNG women's levels coach Kune Amini, joined those already on holidays, and villagers of nearby Kiapara and Karawa witnessed the inaugural T20 Alukuni Cricket Grand Final. Irumo won the toss and elected a bat in sunny and very hot conditions, which the Ririga Kele bowlers towed under. The openers got the sides off to a good start, with Paiva Vavine top scoring with 33 to get Irumo to 4 down 429 after the 20 overs. Disaster for Ririga started after the first delivery when they lost their openers. They lost wickets at regular intervals to some fine bowling and some outstanding fielding. Umpires, current Barramandis captain Chris Amini and former PNG representative Navu Maha were kept busy throughout the day with some hard hitting and classical force through the scent finding and boundary and classical catching. Irumo cleaned up the Ririga side for 46 runs with 3 overs remaining.
There were some good results coming out and some good talent out of there. So there's actually, it's a good chance for some, players who weren't quite able to break into the Barras. This is their opportunity to, they get that chance. They can make the PNGA team, and then.
In the women's grand final, Lokewan set a target of 104, which they easily passed with 3 wickets in hand and 2 overs to spare.
I think you should
play more of those games so we can come up and watch and give opportunity to girls who play well here so can represent PNG as well.
Sponsor and patron of Alukuni Cricket Association, Viari Maha, was impressed with the standard of cricket displayed. At the presentation following the men's grand final, the former PNG cricket chief thanked all the men, women and youngsters playing in the game and assured them of the continued support when the season 2 resumes later in the year. Quinton.
Just a reminder, if you'd like us to cover any of your sports stories, you can send us an email on sports@emtv.com.pg, or if not, you can come over here to the office. We're at Level 2 Garden City, Boroko, and you can ask for either myself, Rafaela, Terry, Godwin, and of course the two girls, Lorraine and Scholar, and we'd be more than willing to assist you.
That's it for tonight's episode. On behalf of the Sports Scene crew, myself and Jeremy, we wish you all a happy new year and good night.
Good night.
Had a lot of positive
like game one of Narla country, also me like Savannah. Me got big like interest to it.
If I decide to join Hekari, do I get a car?
Yeah, definitely you'll get a car.